Jury duty. H.G. Wells, in The World Set Free, published in 1914, says, while almost all the material and methods of life had been changing rapidly and were changing still more rapidly, the law courts and the legislatures of the world were struggling desperately to meet modern demands with devices and procedures, conceptions of rights and property and authority and obligation that dated from the rude compromises of relatively barbaric times. Of the making of too many vengeful laws there is no end. From the basic Judeo-Christian 10, the rest distend. So we who only wish to live in peace are commanded to serve the blind beast, to pretend harsh justice, while in fact we help those in power to war against the young, the poor. Told it is our civic duty to sit in judgment against those they fear until, as they must, they come at last for us. After the 1990s, in which prison guard became in the U.S. the fastest growing occupation, this remnant of those who began under a torch summoning the tired poor, the anxious huddled masses yearning to breathe free, become mere foot soldiers for a prison camp nation. Summoned by mail, docile, we pass single file through metal detectors that are alarmed by even so small a thing as a quarter in a small man's pocket. Become prisoners of the state that claims to serve us, sentenced to 10 days jury duty on the 11th floor. 10,000 judgmental types needed per day by Los Angeles County courts, each issued a badge emblazoned in red with the word juror to ward off all the legal vampires, warn attorneys not to tamper with us, not even give us the time of day. Badges topped with bar-coded 9-digit numbers, the last 4 of which replace our names. These scan daily, and again whenever we are herded into cohorts of 40 to be dispatched into dark, wood-paneled rooms of judgment where the authorities ask us to suspend all knowing that is not pure reason, then to calculate the probabilities of purported unlawful acts by others beyond a reasonable doubt, as if doubt were logic, not emotion. Strangers thrown together in a kind of legal lifeboat, adrift and alone in a crowd, so many parallel lives, one imminently pregnant wife of a deputy sheriff. Greeted the first day by a smug young clerk who excuses herself for not being awake. "I haven't had my Starbucks yet." She, at a podium between the bear flag and a red, white, and blue, speaks into an unreliable microphone, her image also on televisions hung from the ceiling, the same screens from which a judge warns on tape that we can be dismissed from a panel simply because some attorneys see bow-tied men as very conservative or those with full beards as too unconventional. Adds the judge, "I've never seen both on one person." We're held first in a room too cold, an assembly place with gray plastic and steel chairs upholstered green. Seats for 200 near windows looking down upon the dead center of Los Angeles, downtown where a government still pretends that it can be the city. That hollow core of metropolis where almost no one lives or works anymore, not even a hub of commerce, 1970s office towers, now hollow-eyed, empty. A woman who calls herself Rose, although her name is Margaret, wears hot pink, reads Finding Balance, 12 Priorities for Interdependence and Joyful Living. Later, in a courtroom, on the verge of spilling tears, tells a judge that she could not stomach a video of an alleged rape victim's medical exam. The prosecutor excuses her, and everyone in the 14 chairs who says they never drink. In the waiting room, a walrus-mustached man bends the ear of the woman next to him. Proud, boastful, morally superior, a strongly opinionated little fellow who later reveals in court that he lives alone. A would-be foreman, or the guy most likely to hang the next 12. In these halls of legal niceties, female defendants all too often obvious their latest defense against the decorum of the court. They flock in for hearings in low-cut dresses, strappy sandals, even short shorts. They make it clear they haven't been here before, don't know how to dress or act in this law world, nor want to know. Women attorneys in the halls, clip-clopping sharply as if to menace with every emphatic footfall. Called to courtrooms where persons of color stand for judgment, one on kidnap and rape charges, another on allegations of posting gang graffiti, both bent to Spanish interpreters. 2 women judges, one black, one white, the latter ruling from behind a raised dais festooned with plastic flowers. 3 black women outside the courtrooms, apparently wringing their hands, actually just sharing a tube of lotion. A national law enforcement database lists 35 million Americans with arrest records. Each prospective juror is asked to confess past contacts with judicial machinery. Prosecutors challenge those who have experienced the legal lash. With 6.5 million on probation, parole, or imprisoned, more than 2 million currently jailed, America has the world's highest proportion of inhabitants behind bars. Though less than 5% of planetary population, the U.S. has 25% of all prisoners. 1 in 3 black males will know jail in their lifetimes, so those once privately enslaved now languish instead in public prisons. But these are the facts of which we stand ignorant. Major crime declines, yet the tide of our fear rises. More laws are made, more criminals created. Imprisonment on drug charges, mostly for possession for their own use, multiplies 7 times in 20 years. And we, wishing to be seen as responsible citizens, pretend no youthful indiscretions, wait meekly to become accomplices, escalate spiraling racist consciousness control incarceration. Outside the assembly room windows from other rooftops, steam rises. The May haze stays, the one that so often on brighter days by afternoon burns over into fog. Seekers of truth, we sit long among blithe consumers swallowing things that are not what they seem. Lickers of sugar-free lollipops, chewers of synthetic cheese and crackers, those crunching fat-free grahams, tepid decaf sippers, holistic gobblers of donut holes, ruby-tongued savorers of artificial red licorice, munchers of buttered popcorn by pawfuls. We who simply sit serve by passively allowing the system to choose or refuse us look northeast, glimpse over the lip of Chavez Ravine the light standards of a stadium that demolished an impoverished neighborhood. Observe the river of cars beside it, climbing a concrete cataract north and southing on the Pasadena freeway. Seated among these nappers, gum chewers, brand name, bottled water drinkers, all those ever more uncomfortable in hardening chairs, among men with beards, but no bow ties. The eye rubbers, too, chafing from too tight blindfolds, visionless judgment. All of us little fish circling as we mouth water, unable to see beyond this placid jury pool. Rumors and allegations of liberty and justice for all bubble from depths beyond us. Hot air that expands, rises to the highest levels.